Now, let's start sewing up all parts of the otter. Sewing the otter's body, belly, legs, tail, muzzle, nose, as well as the whiskers and ears are all done the same way. Next, we will demonstrate by using the light brown otter. Pick out the head and body parts. Thread the yarn tail onto the longer sewing needle. Sew the body onto the head between rounds 13 and 14. Find the slip stitch on the back side of the fabric. We count from top to bottom. 1, 14. That is the position between these two rounds. Count 3 stitches to the right starting from the slip stitch. 1, 2, 3. Insert the needle here. Begin sewing. Sew around the outline using the same method. Then weave the extra yarn tail inside the fabric several times. Cut off the excess yarn tail. Pinch and tuck the yarn end into the fabric. The body part is now fully sewn up. Now, begin sewing the belly. Sew the belly onto the front center of the body from rounds 6 to 14. First, locate round 6. Here is round 6. Mark it with a stitch marker. From here upwards around 6 to 14. Take out the belly. Place the side with the yarn tail against the body. Next, check the sewing position. We need to align it starting from the increased stitch on the face. Secure it. Do the same on the other side, aligning from the increased stitch. That is right here. Adjust the belly into the correct position. Also fix the bottommost point with a stitch marker. After confirming the position, sew along the outline. Sew along the outline using the same method. After sewing one round along the outline, sew the upper part onto the body. The belly is now sewn on. Weave the excess yarn tail several times inside the body. Cut off the excess yarn tail. Gently pinch and adjust the shape of the fabric. The belly part is now fully sewn. Now, start sewing the legs. Sew the legs onto the body between rounds 3 and 4. Pay attention to left-right symmetry. First, locate rounds 3 and 4. These are the 2 rounds. Mark the position with stitch marker first. Repeat the same on the other side. Check whether the positions are symmetrical. If not, you can adjust them. After confirming symmetrical positions, start sewing. Insert the needle at round 3. Remove the stitch marker. Adjust the fabric properly and sew along the outline. After sewing one round, weave the excess yarn inside the fabric several times. Cut off the excess yarn tail. This completes sewing one leg. Pinch and gently adjust the shape. Please sew the other leg using the same method. 2 legs are sewn on. Next, let's sew the tail. Take out the tail and have a pipe cleaner. Fold the pipe cleaner twice. Insert it inside the tail. Stuff a small amount of cotton inside the tail. If the cotton is difficult to insert here, you can use the crochet hook handle to assist. We need to sew the tail onto rounds 4 to 6 on the back of the body. First, locate round 4 to 6 on the body. Mark them with stitch markers. Find the center of the body at these 3 rows. Insert the needle here. Begin sewing. Confirm the position. Sew along the outline. After sewing one round, weave the excess yarn several times inside the fabric. Cut off the excess yarn tail. The tail is now sewn on. There is a pipe cleaner inside the tail, allowing you to shape it. Now, begin sewing the ears. Thread the longer yarn tail onto the sewing needle. We need to sew the ears onto the head between rounds 8 and 9. First, find rounds 8 and 9. These two rounds. Insert the needle at the white edge. Pull out from this position. Insert through the outermost V shape. Tighten the yarn. Insert through the middle of the ear. Pull through from the back. Insert into the V shape on the side. Pull through from the back of the fabric. Insert the other yarn tail onto the sewing needle. Pull through the same stitch from the back. Tie these two yarn tails in a knot. Cut off the excess yarn tails. Pinch and tuck the yarn end into the fabric. One ear is now sewn on. Sew the other ear the same way. Both ears are sewn on. Next, let's sew the muzzle. Sew the muzzle onto the head from rounds 8 to 11. This is round 8. Mark it with a stitch marker. Find the position of round 11. This is round 11. Place the muzzle in the center of the face. Secure it with the stitch markers. This can prevent shifting during sewing. Sew along the outline. Sew along the outline using the same method. After sewing one round along the outline, weave the extra yarn several times inside the head. Cut off the excess yarn tail. Pinch the fabric and tuck the yarn end inside. Gently pinch and adjust the shape. The muzzle is now sewn on. Now let's start embroidering the nose. Take 8 inches of black yarn. Cut the yarn. One strand consists of 4 thinner strands. We will separate 2 of those strands. Thread the yarn onto a thin sewing needle. You need to embroider the nose on the first round of the muzzle. Insert the needle from the back. Pull the needle out at the first round of the muzzle. Leave a length of yarn tail at the back. Then begin embroidering the nose. Make sure to keep the yarn side by side without overlapping. Pass the needle beneath these black strands. Gather them together. Pass through twice more from above. Pull the needle out from the same position at the back. Use the sewing needle to adjust the shape of the nose. The nose is completed. Cut the yarn tails at the back. Take out the black yarn just used. Pull out one of the strands. Thread it onto a thinner sewing needle. Embroider the mouth on rounds 1 to 2 of the muzzle. Insert the needle from the back. Bring the yarn out from the position on the first round. Leave a length of yarn tail at the back. Insert the needle into the middle of the first round. We need to embroider the mouth on rounds 1 to 2 of the muzzle. Insert the needle at this position. Bring the needle out at this position. Insert the needle at the same position. Bring the needle out from the middle position. Tighten the yarn. This way, one side of the mouth is embroidered. Repeat the same steps on the other side. Insert the needle at the same position. Bring the needle out from the stitch next to this one. The mouth is completed. Next, embroider the whiskers on round 10 of the face. Embroider the whiskers on this round. We insert the needle here. Pull out from the lower position. Insert the needle at this position. Pull out from the opposite position. The whiskers are embroidered. Pull out from the same stitch at the back. Adjust the shape gently with the sewing needle. Cut the excess yarn tails at the back. The mouth and whiskers are now finished. Next, start sewing the light brown otter's eyes, as well as the arms and shell parts. Embroider the eyes first. Take 8 inches of black yarn. Cut the yarn. We will separate 2 of those strands. Thread the yarn onto a thin sewing needle. We need to embroider the eyes on the 8th round of the head. Insert the needle from the back. The 8th round is this round. Leave a length of yarn tail at the back. Embroider the eyes 1 stitch away from the muzzle. Repeat the same process on the other side. Adjust the eye shape. You can pull this yarn at the back to adjust the eyes. pull the excess yarn out through the same stitch. Adjust the shape gently with the sewing needle. Cut extra yarn tails at the back. The eyes are now completed. Now begin sewing the otter's arm. Sew the arms onto rounds 12 and 13 on both sides of the body. Sew this side first. The last round is round 14. Here are rounds 12 and 13. Sew along the contour of the face edge. Pull the excess yarn out from the back of the body. This completes the sewing up one arm. Now let's sew on the other side. Locate rounds 12 through 13 on this side. These are the 2 rounds. Begin sewing here. Pull the yarn out through the middle. Pull the yarn into the arm. Pull the yarn out through the middle of the arm. Insert the yarn into the middle of the other arm. Pull it out from this spot. Secure both arms together. Both arms are facing upward. Form a gesture with both arms pressed together. Pass the yarn through from the side. Insert through the middle stitch. And pass out from the same position at the back. Tie a knot with the 2 yarn tails. Cut off the excess yarn tails. Pinch and tuck the excess yarn end inside the fabric. Gently pinch and adjust the shape. The arms are sewn on. Now, start sewing the shell. First, pass the yarn of the shell from the back up to this position. Place the shell in the middle of the belly on the first round. Insert through the corresponding position. Pass out from the corresponding position on the other side. Secure it at this position. Weave the excess yarn inside the fabric several times. Adjust the position of the shell. And tighten the yarn. Weave the excess yarn inside the fabric several times. Cut off the excess yarn tail. Let's adjust the shape of the shell. The light brown otter is now completely sewn up. Now, let's sew the arms and the heart onto the red brown otter. Let's begin sewing the arms. We need to sew the arms between rounds 13 and 14 on both sides of the body. The last round of the body is round 14. We need to sew along these two rounds. Align the sewing under the outline of the face edge. One arm has been sewn on this side. Next, let's sew up the other side. The arm on this side is also sewn up. Thread the yarn through the middle position. Pull the yarn into the arm. Pull out at this position on the second round of the arm. Take out the heart. Insert the needle through the side edge of the heart. Pull the needle out from the opposite side. Insert at the second round position on this side of the arm. This way, the heart is sewn between the two arms. Pull the yarn out from the same stitch at the back. Tie a knot with the excess yarn tails. Cut off the excess yarn tails. Tuck the yarn end inside the fabric. The red-brown otter has also been fully sewn up.